Knightmare Griffin is a really nasty card, and I'm afraid you might be seeing it a little more often now. It's a Link 4 that has, historically speaking, seen a lot of play with Curious. I'm curious as to why. Oh yeah, Curious sends any card from deck to grave, and Griffin allows you to reset back any spell or trap card from grave to field. Nah, it all makes sense now. You can indirectly search any floodgate in Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, no shit, Curious got banned. But one could potentially argue that maybe Griffin could have stolen its place instead. Not only is Griffin really good at getting you back cards from grave to field, but also it's pretty good at getting you draws if it was already co-linked. But come on, that's not all, obviously. This card prevents every single special summon monster on the field from activating its effect if it's not linked. That means it either has to point to something or something has to point to it. And also, it's not really a skill drain that negates stuff, but rather prevents things from activating in the first place, so it's actually much harder to dodge. Long story short, if you're playing against a deck that can't really link summon, this card is insane. Because the point is to summon Griffin in the middle column so that you're never really giving any arrows to your opponent. So that forces the opponents to get their arrows themselves, and that's honestly a lot of work. This card completely wipes the floor with Despia because they can't link summon anyways. So they can't out Griffin with actual engine cards, they need to hard draw cards like Triple Tactic Talents or Super Poly, for example. They can draw a really good hand with a lot of gas, and it still won't really be enough. Obviously, they can draw Fallen of Albaz and normal summon it and then use the effect because Griffin only affects special summon monsters, but it's not like you're only ending with Griffin, right? Griffin is also extremely good against Kashtira because if they start off directly with Unicorn or Fenrir, they won't be able to get its effect. They could still normal summon a Kashtira monster using Birth, but at the same time, they do have to rely on a few more cards. And one of their best outs would be to jump over the Griffin and negate it with the Scareclaw, but at the same time, that again might not go through. The Evil Twin Runic Sprite deck is currently the best deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! To be able to abuse Knightmare Griffin, and they also end on far more interruptions. They will be able to pop a card with Leela, which protects their floodgate. And obviously, they're also playing Sprite cards and Runic cards, so they can end on Red Carrot, Flashing Fire, Freezing Curses, anything you name it, you have it. Because for some reason, that deck always has every single answer to everything you do. And they also play a bunch of Link monsters, so it's not really like they're affected by their own Griffin. Anyways, other decks lose to Knightmare Griffin too. Even though Labyrinth is a trap deck and typically doesn't really care too much about these kind of monsters, it still hurts them to a certain extent. They won't really be able to get the effects of Lovely and Lady, which kinda hurts if they didn't hard draw removal trap cards. And you know, trap decks going second kinda might already suffer with already established boards. Now, Exorcister recently won the Remote Duel YCS thanks to my boy Steven Santoli. Big shoutouts to you, by the way, my man. But yeah, unfortunately for Exorcister, they have an extremely unwinnable matchup against Knightmare Griffin. Martha logs them under, you know, Exorcisters only for the full turn, so it's not really like they can give themselves any arrows. So all you can really do with Exorcister would just be summoning a bunch of useless monsters, try to jump over the Griffin, and it's probably not gonna work. I will have to say though, quite a few decks are completely immune to Knightmare Griffin. Flunderies and Cyber's decks in general really don't care about that card because they either don't special summon or they just give themselves a lot of arrows for free. And Dragon Link might be missing out on a few effects like, you know, Magnamut or Lubellion or potentially Rocket Tracer if it's summoned off of Quick Launch, but usually it doesn't matter too much. The Vanquish Soul strategy plays a Link 1 monster so that they have a built-in way to out the Knightmare Griffin, but at the same time, that deck doesn't really spam the board. And Sprite is an interesting one too. They won't insta-scoop the Griffin because they obviously can out it, but it is actually a lot of extra work. Try to think about this, okay? Normal summon Beaver, special summon Beaver, okay, then what? You can't go for a sprint right away because it won't be linked yet, and also if you special summon a Blue or Jet, it's not gonna get its effect off. But you're still forced to summon an Extender and then go into a Sprint, and then special summon 2 monsters, go into Gigantic to the zone the Sprint points to, and then whichever monster you summon off of Gigantic will not be getting its effect off because Sprint only gives you 1 arrow. With that being said, there is still a workaround if both of the extra monster zone are free. But yeah, if your win condition is to go into a Gigantic Sprite and then jump over the Knightmare Griffin, again, just to make myself completely clear, it's not gonna work out. They can either destroy your Gigantic with Flashing Fire, negate it with Freezing Curses, or completely protect their Griffin with Runic Slumber. And of course, Runic Tip allows them to search any of these cards. They also have so many draws because of the Kissikil Link monster, the Kissikil Frost, as well as the Runic Fountain, and even the Knightmare Griffin. So yeah, your engine is not going to be enough against that deck, you really need non-engine cards as well. And you can't rely too much on hand traps because one hand trap is usually not enough against them if they draw like a starter and an extender. And drawing one hand trap can backfire if they have triple tactic talents. So in conclusion, Griffin is truly a nightmare to deal with. But with that being said, that's all I had for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts about this monster in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.